after, inside of it a before, where this person had you in front of them and treated you like you were ordinary, like you were replaceable, like your presence in their life was something they could afford to take for granted. And an after, where they woke up, where something shifted, where the weight of what they did and what they lost landed on them hard. And I feel like this reading is about that after, about what happens when a person finally understands the value of what they had, when the regret becomes impossible to ignore, when everything you meant to them surfaces all at once. Like a tide that waited and finally came in, all of it at once, and nowhere to put it except back towards you. Let me pull for you and let's see what the cards are saying. Here's the first card, the Five of Cups reversed. Oh, this is perfect. Because the Five of Cups reversed is this person who has been sitting in grief, in loss, in the aftermath of a decision they wish they could take back. And the reversal tells me they are beginning to lift their head, to stop looking at what they broke and start looking at what might still be possible. And I feel like what is still possible is reaching out to you, making something right, saying the thing they should have said a long time ago. Let me pull again. Here's the King of Swords. I feel like this person on the surface presents as very composed, very certain, very in control of their emotions. And I feel like that composure is exactly what allowed them to treat you the way they did, because it is easy to be unmoved when you believe the person will always be there, when you assume the connection is permanent, when you have never had to imagine the absence. Because when you are always the one in your head, always the one calculating, always the one deciding how much to feel and when, you can miss the moment. You can miss the person standing right in front of you, offering you something real. And I feel like they missed it. They were so busy being composed that they were not present. And now that you are no longer there, offering, waiting, staying, the composure is cracking. And what is underneath that crack is regret. Very real, very specific regret. Let me keep going. Here's the Page of Swords. I feel like there is a message forming, words that this person has been drafting in their mind. Things they want to say to you that they haven't found the courage to put into the world yet. And I feel like the Page of Swords is showing me that the communication is coming. It may feel tentative at first. It may not come out as smoothly as they rehearsed it. But it is coming because the silence has become unbearable for them. And sitting with everything they never said is worse than the vulnerability of finally saying it. I feel like that realization is recent and sharp, like something they woke up knowing. And once you know something like that, you cannot unknow it. It lives in you until you do something about it. Let me pull again. Here's the Three of Pentacles reversed. I feel like things fell apart in this connection, not because the foundation wasn't there, but because this person stopped building, stopped showing up, stopped treating you like the collaboration mattered. And the reverse Three of Pentacles tells me they feel that now they feel the absence of what they dismantled, and they are beginning to understand that what was between you was not something they will simply find again. Not with anyone else, not the way they had it with you. And I feel like that understanding, that specific realization is sitting in them right now, like something heavy, like something they cannot set down, no matter how much they try. Let me pull one more. Here's the Eight of Cups reversed. And this is the card I always watch carefully in these readings, because the Eight of Cups reversed is this person who walked away and came back, who tried to leave and found they couldn't, who thought moving on would be easier than staying and discovered it wasn't. And I feel like that is exactly what this person is living right now. They thought moving on from you would feel like freedom, and instead it feels like loss, a very specific kind of loss, the kind that follows you into quiet moments, that finds you when you least expect it and reminds you of exactly who you walked away from. And I feel like that reminder comes for this person, often, more often than they would ever admit. All right, let's talk about you, because before we go any deeper into what this person is carrying, I want to sit with what you have been holding, because I feel like this message did not come from nowhere for you. I feel like you have been through something with this person that left a mark, not a dramatic mark necessarily, but a quiet one, the kind that lives underneath the surface. The kind that shapes the way you move through things without you always knowing why. Here's the first card for your energy, the Four of Swords. And I feel this deeply because the Four of Swords is this person who has gone inward, who has pulled back from the noise, who has been resting not out of defeat, but out of necessity. And I feel like that is exactly where you have been. Not checked out, not giving up, but giving yourself space after something that cost you. This person cost you something not just emotionally, but in terms of how much you were willing to trust, how much you were willing to offer. And I feel like after the way they treated you, after the way they made you feel like less than what you are, you quietly made a decision to protect the parts of yourself that are most precious and to stop handing them to people who don't know what to do with them. And I feel like that decision, quiet as it was, changed something in you. You stopped being so available, so easy to take for granted. And that shift, this person felt it. Let me pull again. Here's the Two of Swords. I feel like you have been in a place of deliberate stillness, not making decisions, not pushing energy in any direction, just holding, waiting to see what clarifies. And I feel like part of that waiting is about this person. Part of you is unsure, not unsure of your worth, because you know your worth now in a way you maybe didn't before, but unsure of what you want to do with this situation, whether you want to open the door again, whether the cost is worth it, whether the version of you that gave so much deserves to give again. And I feel like that deliberation is wise. It is not avoidance, it is discernment. And I want to say you are allowed to take your time with this. You are allowed to not have an answer yet. You are allowed to wait until something feels right, rather than just familiar, because familiar is not the same as good. And you know that now. Let me keep going. Here's the Six of Pentacles reversed, and this is very specific. I feel like the exchange between you and this person was unbalanced. For a long time you gave, and they received without always giving back in equal measure. Not necessarily on purpose, but the imbalance was real, and I feel like you know that now. You can look back and see the moments where you poured into this connection and the moments where they simply let you pour without filling the space back up. And I feel like one of the most important things that happened to you through this experience is that you learned what balance actually looks like, what it feels like to be in an energy exchange that takes from you without returning, and that knowledge is going to protect you now and going forward. I feel like you have graduated into a different version of yourself, one who measures differently, one who asks, is this person adding to my life or simply taking from it? And that question, once you start asking it, changes everything. Let me pull again. Here's the Ace of Swords. And this is clarity arriving like a cold, clean breath of air. I feel like you have gotten very clear through this experience about what you will and will not accept, about what you need from a person, about what love and care and genuine regard actually look like in practice. And I feel like that clarity is new, hard won, but real. And it has changed the way you hold yourself, the way you enter conversations, the way you respond to people who come towards you. You are not the same person who accepted being treated like nothing, and that matters. Let me pull one more. Here's the Queen of Swords, and this is you, clear-eyed, sharp. Emotionally intelligent in a way that has been carved out by experience. You see things now that you couldn't see before. You feel things with a precision that is rare. And I feel like this card is the universe saying you have earned that clarity. You are not hardened, but you are discerning. And whoever comes back into your world, including this person, is going to have to meet that version of you. The version that knows what she is worth. The version that doesn't shrink. The version that was always there, quietly waiting to be treated with the care it deserved. And now she is no longer quiet about it. Now she is the standard. Remember that. All right, let's get into their world, because this is the part of the reading that answers the real question, not just do they regret it, but what does that regret actually feel like for them? What is it doing to them? Where does it live in their body and their days and their quiet moments? Let me pull. Here's the first card for their energy, the Moon, and I feel like this is so right. Because the Moon is the card of confusion and illusion and things that aren't quite clear yet. And I feel like this person has been living in a kind of fog since things changed between you. a fog of their own making because they convinced themselves at some point that letting you go or treating you carelessly would be manageable, that they would be fine, that you were not as irreplaceable as you actually are. And the moon is showing me that those stories they told themselves have not held up. They have been wandering in their own confusion, circling back to memories, to moments, to the specific version of you that they didn't fully appreciate. And that circling has no end because they haven't dealt with what is actually underneath it. And I feel like that underneath is getting louder, harder to ignore, more insistent with every day that passes, which is that they were wrong about you, about what you meant, about what life without your presence actually feels like. Let me pull again. Here's the Five of Cups. And the grief in this card is very clear to me. I feel like this person is mourning something, not loudly, not in a way that anyone around them would necessarily see, but in that private, internal way where you carry the weight of something lost. And you don't talk about it because you know the loss was your fault. And that is the specific quality of grief this person is holding, the grief that comes with responsibility. The grief that says, I did this, I made choices that led to this, and now I am living in the consequence of those choices. And I feel like that kind of grief is heavy in a particular way because there is no one to blame, no circumstance to point to, just the mirror, just the reflection of their own actions and what those actions cost them. And I feel like they are having to look at that reflection more often than they would like because you keep showing up in it. No matter how much time passes, you are still there. Let me keep going. Here's the Six of Swords reversed. I feel like this person has been trying to move on, genuinely trying, putting distance between themselves and what happened, finding distractions, shifting focus, telling themselves it was the right thing, and the reversal tells me it hasn't worked. The movement they try to make away from this, from you, keeps stalling, keeps pulling them back because you cannot outrun a regret that lives inside you. You cannot put enough distance between yourself and the truth. And the truth is, they treated you like you were nothing, and you are everything. And some part of them has known that for a long time, even when they were acting like they didn't. And I feel like admitting that even just internally has cracked something open in them, something that cannot be sealed back up. Let me pull again. Here's the Knight of Cups reversed. I feel like this person has been emotional and private in ways that would surprise you. This is not this person who shows their feelings easily, but reverse, the Knight of Cups tells me that those feelings have been spilling over into late nights where they look back at things, into moments where something reminds them of you, and they have to sit with that for longer than they expected. Into conversations they have started and not sent, words they have written and deleted, apologies they have rehearsed but not yet delivered. And I feel like the rehearsing is almost over. The delivering is getting closer. And all of that private emotional weight is building towards something. It has to go somewhere. Let me pull one more. Here's the Tower reversed. And I want to read this carefully because the Tower reversed is a collapse that has already happened. The shock already hit, the ground already shifted. And now this person is in the aftermath of that, sitting in the rubble of a dynamic they took for granted. I feel like there was a specific moment, a realization, a confrontation with themselves, where it all became undeniable, where they could no longer pretend that the way they treated you was acceptable, where the full weight of what you actually are and what they threw away landed without warning. And that landing changed something. They are not the same person they were before that moment. And the version of them that exists now is trying to figure out what to do with all of that. All right, let's talk about what is actually coming, because I feel like we have been sitting in the weight of this, the regret, the grief, the fog, and now something is moving. Something is shifting from internal to external, from feeling into action. And I want to show you what that looks like. Let me pull. Here's the first card for what is coming, the Sunday. Oh, I love this here because the Sunday in this position is clarity breaking through the end of a long, dark period of confusion and loss. And I feel like what is coming has the quality of daylight after something overcast, something clear, something that cuts through all the ambiguity that has been sitting between you and this person. I feel like this person is about to step into their honesty, not the version they perform, not the version that protects their ego, the actual clear, warm, this is what I feel and I am done hiding it version. And I feel like receiving that from them is going to feel significant because it is going to be real in a way that what they offered you before was not unguarded, unpracticed, just them. Let me pull again. Here's the judgment card. And this is a powerful card in this position because judgment is about being called, about hearing something that changes the direction you are moving in, about a reckoning that demands a response. And I feel like this person has heard that call. Their conscience has been speaking to them loudly, consistently, unmistakably, and they are answering it. Not by staying in the regret, but by doing something about it, by deciding that staying silent is no longer an option they can live with, by choosing to reach out, to say something, to make some kind of move toward making this right. And I feel like that decision, once made, has given them a focus they didn't have before, a direction, a reason to stop circling and start moving. And I feel like that movement is already happening, even if you cannot see it yet, even if it hasn't reached you yet. It is already in motion, and it is moving with intention, with purpose, with the specific weight of something that has been held back for too long. Let me keep going. Here's the Three of Cups reversed. And I feel like this is showing me that the social performance this person may have been putting on around other people is fading. The version of them that has been pretending to be fine, that has been acting like nothing is weighing on them, that has been going through the motions of ordinary life while carrying all of this underneath. That version is getting harder to maintain because what they feel is becoming too big for the performance. And when something becomes too big for the performance, it looks for a place to go. And the place it wants to go is to you directly, without the performance, without the protection, just the truth. And I feel like the truth from this specific person is something you have been waiting for, even if you stopped expecting it, even if you had quietly made peace with never hearing it. It is coming sooner than you might expect. Let me pull again. Here's the Page of Cups, and this is the energy of an emotional message. Something heartfelt, something that did not come easily. I feel like what is coming from this person is not going to be polished. It is not going to be perfectly worded. It is going to feel a little raw, a little unfinished, like something that was poured out rather than carefully crafted. And I feel like that rawness is actually the most honest thing they could offer you because it means they are not performing. They are just finally saying it, what they should have said before, what they wish they had said when it would have made a difference in the moment. And even now, even after the fact, it carries weight because it is real. And real things spoken honestly have a way of landing regardless of timing, regardless of how long they took to arrive, and saying it changes everything for them and for you. Let me pull one more. Here's the Wheel of Fortune. Cycles are turning. Something that went one way for a long time is shifting. And I feel like this card is the universe saying this is not a coincidence. The timing of whatever is about to happen is not random. You finding this reading today is not random. Things are moving in a pattern that is larger than either of you can fully see right now. And the Wheel of Fortune turning toward you in this reading, in this position, it is telling me that what is coming is part of a correction, a rebalancing, the universe course correcting something that went wrong. And the correction begins with what this person is about to say. And I feel like when it arrives, you will know, you will feel the shift of it before they even finish speaking, because it will carry something different. Something you have not felt from this person before, sincerity, without armor. And that is worth waiting for. All right, this is the part I want you to breathe through because what I am about to pull is what this person has been holding in the deepest part of themselves. The layer underneath the regret, underneath the grief, underneath the loss and the fog and the sleepless nights. The truest thing, let me pull. Here's the first card for what they truly feel, the Lovers. And I want to sit with this card because it is saying something very specific here. The Lovers is not just about attraction, it is about alignment. It is about two people and the question of whether they belong together. And I feel like this person has been sitting with that question, not casually, not briefly, but in the way you sit with something that has no easy answer. And the conclusion they keep arriving at, no matter how many times they try to arrive somewhere else, is you. It is always you. You are the answer to the question they cannot stop asking. And I feel like that realization sitting in them quietly has changed the quality of everything they feel. Every moment of regret now has that underneath it, not just, I treated you badly, but I treated the person I want most badly. And that lands differently. And I feel like that is the confession underneath everything else. Not just that they regret how they treated you, but that they want you still, in spite of everything, in spite of themselves. Let me pull again. Here's the star. Oh, this is such a tender card to pull here. Because the star is hope, quiet, persistent, private hope. The kind that survives things it probably shouldn't. The kind that keeps burning even when everything else has gone dark. And I feel like this person has been holding hope about you privately, in a place they haven't shown anyone. Hope that it is not too late. Hope that the damage is not irreparable. Hope that there is a version of this where they make it right and you allow them to. And I feel like that hope is the most vulnerable thing they carry because it means they are still in this even after everything, even after the way things fell apart. They are still here emotionally, reaching toward the possibility of you. And I feel like that reaching, that private, persistent reaching, is one of the most honest things about this person right now. More honest than anything they have shown the outside world. Let me keep going. Here's the Nine of Cups reversed. I feel like this person tried to fill the space that you left, tried to find satisfaction in other things, other connections, other distractions, other versions of moving forward. And the reversal tells me none of it worked. None of it landed the way they needed it to. Because you are not something that gets replaced by filling a space. You are something specific. Something that exists in a category of its own. And I feel like this person knows that now in their bones in a way that is no longer theoretical. They have lived the absence of you. And the absence has taught them what the presence never fully communicated. That some people are not just people. Some people are a completely different quality of experience. And you are one of those people, that you are not ordinary, that you were never ordinary, that they were in the presence of something rare and they moved through it carelessly. And they cannot unknow that. Let me pull again. Here's the Ten of Swords reversed, and this is healing energy, the lowest point beginning to rise. I feel like this person has hit a kind of emotional rock bottom around this situation, a point where they could no longer pretend, no longer distract, no longer manage the weight of what they feel. And from that lowest point, something shifted, a decision formed. Not a dramatic one, but a quiet, clear, I am going to do something about this decision. And the Ten of Swords reversed says the worst is behind them. The painful part of their reckoning is complete. And what comes now is the reaching, the willingness to be humble enough to reach. Let me pull one more. Here's the Hierophant reversed. I feel like this person is done doing this the conventional way, done with waiting for the right moment, done with following rules about pride and dignity, and who reaches out first. The confession coming is not going to be managed or measured. It is going to be real. And I feel like the heart of that confession is this: you were never nothing to them. You were everything. Every time they treated you like you were small, like you were replaceable, like you could be taken for granted, that was not the truth of how they felt. That was fear, wearing the mask of indifference. And underneath that mask was this person who saw you completely, who felt the weight of what you are and didn't know how to carry it without breaking something. And now they are ready to try again. This time, with real care, stay with me, because in the final part, we are going into what comes next, the outcome, the guidance. All right, let's bring this home, because I feel like this reading has taken you somewhere real today. Through the grief of this person, through your own growth, through the confessions that have been waiting beneath the surface. And now we are here at the outcome, at the question of what do you do with all of this? Let me pull. Here's the first card for the near future, the Star. And she is back. And I love that she came again, because the Star in the outcome position is one of the most hopeful cards in this deck. It is renewal. It is the moment after the storm when the sky clears and something beautiful becomes visible. And I feel like that is exactly what is coming for you. Not immediately, not without some navigation, but coming, a period where things begin to feel lighter, where the heaviness of what happened with this person starts to lift, where something opens up that had been closed for a long time, and whether that opening is about this person coming back or about you stepping fully into who you have become without them. The star says it is going to be good, better than what came before, in ways you cannot quite see yet, but will. Let me pull again. Here's the Two of Cups, and here they are. Connection energy, the possibility of two people choosing each other. And I feel like this card is not promising a guarantee, but it is showing me a very real possibility, a window of time coming where something meaningful can be built between you, where the conversation that needs to happen can happen, where this person gets the chance to show you that the version of them who took you for granted is not the only version that exists. And I feel like whether you open that window or not is entirely your choice. But the window is there, and it is real. I feel like you have been wondering, is there still something here worth exploring? And the Two of Cups is saying, yes, if you choose it. Let me keep going. Here's the Temperance card, and this is the advice energy, and it is asking you to take your time to not react from the old wound, to not close the door out of protection before you have really assessed what is on the other side, but also to not fling the door open out of longing before this person has shown you something real. The Temperance card is asking for balance, for patience, for the version of you that is wise enough to wait for evidence and generous enough to allow for growth, because people can change. Not all people, but this one the cards are suggesting has been through something that shifted them at a level that is genuine. And the Temperance card is saying you are allowed to be open to that carefully, on your own terms, at the pace that feels right to you, not theirs, yours. Let me pull again. Here's the Four of Pentacles reversed. I feel like this card is asking you to release the grip, not on your standards, not on your self-worth, but on the version of the story where this ends badly, on the protection that has been necessary but may now be costing you something, on the holding back that served you in the aftermath but may not serve you going forward. Because there is a difference between protecting yourself and imprisoning yourself. And the cards are asking you to feel that line, and I feel like the Four of Pentacles reversed is the universe saying, you are safe now. You have done the hard work of healing and discerning and knowing your value. And from that place, you can afford to be a little softer, a little more open, without losing yourself in the process. Let me pull the final card. Here's the Ten of Cups. Oh, this is a beautiful card to close this reading on, because the Ten of Cups is emotional wholeness fulfillment, the feeling of a life that is full in all the ways that actually matter. And I feel like this card is the universe saying that is where you are headed, not because of this person necessarily, but because of who you have become through this. Because of the clarity you now carry, because of the standard you have set for yourself, because of the things you now refuse to accept, because of the way you showed up for yourself when this person didn't. And if this person shows up and meets that standard genuinely, then maybe they get to be part of that wholeness. But if they don't, the Ten of Cups is still yours, unconditionally, absolutely yours. And I feel like that is the message this reading wants you to leave with today. You are not waiting on this person to be okay. You are already okay. You have been okay. You became okay through something that could have broken you, and that is not a small thing. That is genuinely everything. And anything that comes back into your life has to earn a place beside the version of you that exists now. That is not cruelty. That is wisdom, and it is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. Hold on to that, always through the grief of this person, through your own growth, through the confessions that have been waiting beneath